Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Conversation on Thursday, September 24th. It is good to be with you today, and I'm in a whole new location. I am downstairs actually in our studio where we record a lot of our media clips and do some live stream events, and I have one this morning, so I figured I'd let you into the podcasting studio to do Coffee and Conversation this morning, and so here we are together. Down in the studio. So I say peace be with you. It's good to see you this morning, and I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're with us on this Thursday morning. I have to tell you, it's funny because as of like 35 seconds ago before we went on, the internet was not working. So anytime there is a cable truck outside my house, anytime that there is somebody working on the cable box outside, nothing good is ever going to happen because we have like the controller box for the whole street. So anytime they fix somebody else's cable, they kind of break ours. But I'm sure you know how that goes. So anyway, good morning. Coffee and Conversation this morning is about church. And I posted a question yesterday about what some of the questions people might have. And I did get some personal emails. Some of you posted on the website. And it's interesting, not surprising, but it is interesting. So here's the question that I want to ask this morning. And I'm going to ask Libby to relay any of the questions that you might have. If there's something that you might like to ask this morning about things that we do for people that are hurt by the church, people who don't want to go to church, maybe it's even young people that are longing for something, but we don't know how to get them to go. I always like to bring up this topic every once in a while because it's something that we're all dealing with. None of us are immune to it. Just because I'm the church guy doesn't mean that everybody in my family is eager to set foot inside the building. And I hear a lot of concerns that people might have, and I also hear a lot of excuses that people have. So I will share a few of my own thoughts as well. So my question this morning is, if there's something that you'd like to know about the topic of church and how we reconnect or how we help people that were once hurt, maybe return, that would be great. And also I'd like to know how you feel about people returning to church right now, because it's still not a holy day of obligation in many areas of the country, in a few different dioceses. It has become important enough to say that, yeah, you need to come, and we've taken precautions. But I'd like to know how you feel about that. Should people return to church as well? And here's where I want to start off today, and here's really what I think is so important to say. This is at least from my standpoint and my point of view. We need church. And I'm not talking about that we need the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, this church, that church. We do need the institutions that help us form a relationship of deeper understanding of faith with Christ. But I'm talking about we need church as the people. You know, we need each other. And it's not getting any easier. And we're getting more and more isolated. And we've begun to figure out ways that we name things to make it seem like people are even more screwed up than what we are. I just saw an interview yesterday that talked about, what do they call it? Interview anxiety. How young people are having anxiety doing job interviews. Yeah, that's called life. It's called being nervous for something that you really want. In my latest business dealings for the ministry, I'm nervous every day because I'm excited and I want it to happen. I don't have anxiety about it. I have anxiety about a lot of other things, but I am just nervous because I want it so badly. So it's like young people don't need another label to say that, oh yeah, you have this clinical diagnosis. You have interview anxiety. No, actually it's just nerves, and it's just one of those things. So why I bring that up is that we're giving people an excuse to live anything but a human life. We're giving people an excuse and an out. And it's like we focus on the victimization so deeply that we forget how to fix it. So it's like we're creating a world of victims and we're not figuring out how to lead them out of it. And church, to me, is one of the greatest opportunities that we have in order to provide family, to provide a faith-based learning, but that community that is really needed in order to help people get through this time. So this morning, let's just talk about it a little bit. I'm going to address some of the questions that I got yesterday and some of the conversations that I had as well. If you're just joining us, welcome to Coffee and Conversation. I'm that guy back there. It's good to see you. That wouldn't even have my name. Oh, yeah, it does have my name on it. So as I said, we're downstairs in the studio aspect as I get ready for a presentation to ministry leaders in the Diocese of Cleveland this morning. And so I thought I'd let you into this world and we would just record down here this morning. So this aspect of church, one of the things that I wanted to address up front is being hurt by the church. And ironically, the way that God works is He's always giving us something to meet the need for us as evangelizers. And one of the things that I got a chance to see yesterday was a meme. It had the picture and it had the words, and it said, basically said that just remember you were hurt by a human and not by God, right? So it said, and I'm paraphrasing, you may have seen it too, but that was the gist of it, is that when we get hurt in the church, we get hurt by a human being who is not the church, who is not a representative of everything that the church believes, and is certainly not God. Tomorrow in our podcast, I will go even deeper as to what it means sometimes when a priest or a leader of a church hurts somebody. I'll go into how that happens and why that happens and what it really means for us as Christians. But number one is that the excuse that, well, the church hurt me, there is no person that should ever rob you of your relationship with Christ. There is no one that should ever, no human being that should ever be the reason why you stop going to church. It might be the reason that you stop going to a particular church. I'm not saying that you should go there and continually be upset every time you walk in the doors, or if it's mental abuse or anything else that you feel is going on. I think that that is unacceptable, but it shouldn't cause you to walk away from the church. And the person that I spoke to specifically said that it really never goes away. And part of the reason that when we get hurt by the church and it never goes away is because the devil looks for an in to separate us from God. And so he always wants to remind us that, why would you ever give that church another chance? Or don't you remember what they did to you? Don't you remember how they destroyed your life? Don't you remember what they did to you in a way that was unacceptable from someone in the church? And he continues to push that forward. And it would just be like in a marriage, that if someone made a mistake in a marriage, and there is the opportunity for people to once again try to reconcile in a marriage, but the devil keeps saying, are you ever going to let them get away with that? And many of our marriages walk away in divorce because we don't try to reconcile. So when you're hurt by the church, we have to remember that it is a relationship that we're going to need to fight for. And I'm always willing to try to talk with anybody about that if it's something that you really can't get over. But number one, yes, we have to realize that people have stopped going to church because they're hurt. One of the other questions that I got was specifically to this time of COVID. How do we maintain community, and how do we help other people feel connected when we have to continuously social distance? How are we supposed to reconnect when we have to stay apart from everybody? And that one kind of goes along with the rest of life, right? Our small group discussions become very, very important. Our small group gatherings become very, very important. So I believe that we find our small group of 6 to 10 people who we meet with outside of church. So you go to church together, you do your things separately or however that works, but to develop a small group, just like the early church, of people who couldn't all worship together, and they would have to get together, and the church was formed in the home. The church grew and blossomed in some of its most significant ways out of the home. And so we have the opportunity right now to go back to some of that. How can you develop a small group of individuals, a small group of people that can go into you, that you can invite into your home, who you don't feel overwhelmed? And certainly now we're getting into winter, and it might get a little bit harder to do it inside, but whether you're doing a Bible study, whether you're talking about life issues, whether you're couples talking about being parents, no matter what the issue is, begin to build that community of church once again. We have to do it. There's no other choice. We can't wait for our leaders of the church to figure out everything. Because many times, especially if you're Catholic, the hierarchy of the church is coming from Rome. And then you have bishops that are in different areas. Well, if you live in one city in a diocese as opposed to another city, one might be very active with the pandemic and one isn't. We have to use our best judgment in order to keep our groups small enough and in order to actively take back our church. So that would be my suggestion in that. If you are struggling to find ways for people to be connected and ways for people to feel like I still have my church community, do what you can to form that small group in the home. Then one of the other next ones that I remember is how do we get people to return? And I don't know if I've ever said it on this show because I shoot my mouth off a lot to other people just about my thoughts on how we handle things in the church. Here's what I'll say. I would like churches to stop telling people that they don't have to go. I would like churches to stop reminding people that if they are vulnerable and 60 and older, and it's best for them to stay home. I'm pretty sure that we're 5 months in. People know that. I don't think that we have to tell them that anymore. And I get pretty passionate about this. I think that we need to remind people, and we need to say, you know what, we take every precaution for you to be safe. And if you're going to the grocery store, if you're going to sporting events, if there's other places that you're going because you need to get out, then I think you can go to church too. Because this is probably the most important place that you need to be to deal with the rest of the stuff that you're dealing with in life. So on the websites of churches and on materials, maybe it's time to stop giving people the pass. Because what I hear is that, man, watching Mass online is great. Get up in my pajamas, got my cup of coffee, and I watch church. And I love it. It's one way to go. Hey, man, that's great. I'm so glad that you're getting the word. And that's important. But if you're a Catholic Christian, you need the Eucharist. You need to get to church and to receive Jesus Christ. You need the sacraments. You need to find a time for reconciliation. You need to push yourself outside the comfort zone to once again be present in the church and to be community. We always leave everything up to someone else to kind of dictate what we're going to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, just like forming small groups, we have to challenge people to take back their faith. If you believe in the power of the rosary, then share the rosary with people and tell them why you pray it, and tell them why it's important in your faith. But in this specific instance, with church, we need to tell people, like, not only do you need to be there, but there's so many other people that just need to see you for a sense of normal. By seeing a church that's In my home parish, there's about 300 people out of 11,000 that attend every weekend. So that means a church that holds 800 in the building, it gets 300 total over the weekend for 3 masses. So it's pretty empty. Number one, the people that show up, it's the first thing they say, look how empty this is. So they're hurt. Where is their family? Where are their friends? And the ones that are showing up are half of the people that were told not to show up. These are the people that are told to stay home because they're vulnerable, but they love their faith so much, they're willing to risk things to be there. And I'm not saying to be like reckless and to increase the pandemic and you're spreading the virus. Look, we all know what the precautions are. But if your soul is dying, then none of it means anything else. If we haven't found a way to reconnect with God as the world continues to slip into more isolation, more anxiety, more pressure, if we haven't figured out that we need God in our lives in order to fix that, then the rest of the stuff doesn't matter anyway. Our faith is built on martyrs and people that fought for what they love, and they're the people that we talk about that inspire us to live a deeper faith. So following the rules, being distant, and going to church, it's time that we step back up into that role. And I feel very strongly about that. So I hope that some of our church leaders, in the safest way possible, begin to encourage the healthy, to not give them an excuse, but to say, you know what? Watching it on TV anymore isn't good enough if you're feeling okay. But if you meet the criteria of no symptoms and you got a mask on and we have the room for you, let's fill this to capacity that is within the guidelines. So I think we have to challenge ourselves and challenge other people to do that. Libby, do we have there been any other questions at the moment?
No.
You know, church is a very special relationship because it's a place that people feel safe. It's a place where people feel tradition and they feel a connection to what maybe it was when their grandmother took them. It might have been a place that a husband and wife might have met. Might be a place where a young person became part of a youth group, and they really need to be reminded about why they believe what they believe. And this is a chance for them to reconnect to it. So we keep providing the opportunity, but we have to up our game. I mean, it's been 6 months now. This stuff started in March, and it's kind of our new way of doing things. I'm not going to even say it's our new normal because I don't believe it's normal. But it's kind of the way that we have to do things. As a ministry, we have had to recalibrate everything that we're doing, how we do it, and the way that we do it. But now, we discussed just this week about like how do we begin to encourage live events again in parishes? Whether 50 people show up or 100 people show up, these are 50 or 100 people that need to be fed. Parishes need to start giving people the opportunity that they need and just not worry about the liability of what might go wrong. Remember, we pray in church in what I have done and what I have failed to do. And we have to be very careful about what we're failing to do. Because virtual learning, online meetings, it's not going to work. The Jetsons are not here to stay. Yeah, it's convenient. I got to admit, for my 7 a.m. Bible study, it's much easier for me to roll out of bed and turn on my Zoom and do our notes right from there instead of driving to the coffee shop that's 6 minutes away. But I miss my brothers that I get to see and I get to talk with, and I get to see facial expressions, and I can recognize when they're down or when something's bothering them, and I can read that body language. People don't see that online. And so our church is just a way that we can grow in that faith and that we can move forward to gaining courage to live what we believe and to get the nourishment for our soul that we really need. And so, you can continue to email me, continue to think about it. I've had so many conversations in the last 2 weeks about church, good and bad. And I've heard some great stories about how it's changed lives. I've done 2 different live streams, one for a wedding, one for a funeral. And I saw once again what that sacrament of matrimony meant to those people who witnessed it. And I also saw what it meant to the family of the deceased during the funeral, for them to be able to be present together to celebrate life. And nothing will ever replace that with a camera or virtual means. Nothing will ever replace that in our daily prayers. Our growth in our relationship with Christ will grow. But that building of church, the people of church, are what our heart longs for, because we were made to live in community. So let's do our part to continue to grow and to get back to church and to do what we can, and to do it safely, but to fight for it, to respectively fight for it, just as everybody else before us has throughout the ages. So I hope that might help you a little bit in your conversations and your thoughts. Pray on it, what it means for you. Pray on it for what you think with other family and friends. And God is with you, and He's doing amazing things. So let's pray this morning as we wrap up Coffee and Conversation. Just a brief prayer for courage and strength. So we begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we pray for the courage and the strength to be able to come together in whatever is safest to glorify you as a community, to start small groups, to bring together people that, if we can have many small groups even, Lord, because that's what's safest, then we will still be your light for the world. And then when the time comes that we're all together and all able to share as one church, Lord, we will already be strong enough and running rather than searching for you in the storm. Give each of us the peace and patience to know what is right, to do what is best for our family, and to find you in all things so that we can share your love out in the world. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, will be our podcast on the Sacrament of Holy Orders. It's an interesting one because Holy Orders is the sacrament that most of us really don't think about, because it affects very few people in the whole scheme of life, we would assume. But it has such richness, such a tradition, and it will give us an understanding as to why our priests are who they are in the Catholic Church, and how they answer that call to say yes, and also what it means for you and I as the people they help take care of. So God bless you, God keep you, have a great day, and I pray that He will meet you everywhere that you desire Him always. Take care.